The real reason why Donald Trump is pushing the United States of America into World War III is not geopolitical. It is actually personal. Stay tuned for this important message.
The Prince of Darkness is bringing his full wrath in these last days, and Overcoming the Dragon Ministry stands ready to defend the gospel and overcome his lies with the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Brother Skinner relentlessly marches forward through enemy lines, tearing down Satan's strongholds and setting the captives free. Your investment in this ministry, large or small, will be rewarded in this life and the life to come. God bless you.
So the real reason why we see China basically aligning itself more and more with Russia and being pushed towards Russia is because of Donald Trump's vendetta and because of his vengeance he has on China. Now, you know and I know that Donald Trump fights dirty. We know that he fights dirty, and we know that he likes to win. And also remember this, that Donald Trump's, 70 years old. So, other than his own family and his grandchildren, he doesn't have a whole lot at stake. And that's dangerous for us. He probably feels like I can protect my own. But I'm going to tell you, folks, this vendetta or this vengeance, this personal vengeance that Donald Trump has sworn that he is going to, mete out wrath. He said he's going to repay those that have done him wrong. I don't know personally what has caused this anger, this wrath in Donald Trump towards China, but I do know that it is personal. For a man to hate like he does, I mean, he really, really, really hates China. And I'm going to prove to you why he hates China. Probably one reason is because China doesn't treat Donald Trump like he's treated here in the United States, for one reason. He's not a celebrity in China, or he's not, he's just treated as a business person in China. That's probably one of the biggest reasons, because they don't recognize his ego. But maybe you didn't know this, but back when he could not get a loan here in the United States when he was bankrupt, he had to look elsewhere for money. And so Donald Trump turned to Russia, and he turned to China. And he still owes money in these regions of the world. Lots of money. Listen to this. Donald Trump has spent so much of his presidential campaign obsessing about China that humorists have stitched together minutes-long videos of him saying nothing but China, repeatedly in different speeches. His general argument has been that the United States is too deeply in debt to China, and that China has been able to manipulate the United States as a result. But as it turns out, Trump's true underlying reason for obsessively resenting China may be his own massive personal debt that he owes to China's leaders, or lenders, should say. Chinese lenders. One property in New York City, partly owned by Donald Trump, for instance, carries a $950 million debt on a loan that's partially financed by the Bank of China. Are you listening? But as is the case with so many entities in the nation, the Bank of China is owned by the Chinese government. That means Trump literally owes money to the government of China. Well, Trump doesn't like that, people. You know, it's one thing for him to be in debt to the lenders in China, but he doesn't like being in debt to the government in China. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I think Donald Trump would like to overthrow China. He'd like to get rid of it. He'd like to wipe it off the face of the earth. Remember, this is a personal vendetta. You know, this is vengeance. He's using his position of power to kind of mask it with saying he's doing it for you and I. He's doing it for the American people because we're so in debt to China as far as our country. But it's not about our country's debt. It's about his own personal debt. Listen to this. There is a far more direct line that can be drawn financially between Donald Trump and the Chinese government than, say, his complex and cloudy financial ties to the Russian government. When it comes to Russia, we only have the dots. Donald Jr. Bragging about the spike in Russian investments into his father's empire. And so listen, and I heard that myself. I heard his son bragging about that. But when it comes to China, listen, the connection between Trump's wallet and Chinese government is simple and striking. It lacks the international criminal intrigue of the Russian connection and has therefore received less attention. But while we think Trump owes Russian government enough money so as to be politically beholden to its president Putin, we know that Trump owes the Chinese government enough money to be politically beholden to its president. Forget the intrigue. Follow the money. If you enjoy Daily News, Ben, consider making a contribution. And that's the name of the paper that I got this from. But folks, understand that this is personal for Donald Trump. Amen? You need to know that. You need to know that if we go to war with China, we're not going to war for any other reason but that Donald Trump has a personal vendetta. Now, let me ask you this. Is that any reason to go to war with a country? Is that any reason to use your power as the President of the United States? Well, we've seen it in the past. When we went in there and bombed Iraq, that was a personal thing. That had nothing to do with our country. We didn't receive any prosperity from that. We didn't receive the oil like Donald Trump keeps saying. We did not prosper. You tell me how we benefited from bombing Iraq. You tell me how we would benefit right now if we bombed Iran. You know? So these are personal exploits that are going on right now with those that think they have a right to do these things because they hold certain power, because they have certain positions. This is crazy to me. That you would take a whole country into a war because of your personal debt. That's crazy, people. But that's exactly where we are. Now, say Russia and China have a conversation and say, listen, Donald Trump owes you money, he owes me money. Well, we don't need him. And China and Russia get together. I'm going to tell you, the anger in Donald Trump is pushing China closer to Russia. That's what's happening right now. And Russia is working with Iran. We're seeing World War III here. It is culminating, people, before us. You know that North Korea will join Russia. Not that that's a big stake. I mean, that's just small potatoes. But they are trying to develop a nuclear weapon, a missile. A long-range missile. But then you got the United States and Israel working together. Who's going to come to help Israel and the United States? Do you think any other country or anybody else is going to get involved to help? I don't think so, people. I think it's starting to look pretty grim for the United States of America. And when you got somebody in the position that Donald Trump is in with a hot head and very, loose cannon wild card individual, just like Putin. You got two hotheads going against each other, and now China is, tired of Donald Trump basically telling them what to do. Look, Donald Trump basically is not doing anything different than any other president that thinks that we as the country have a right to tell other countries what to do. We have no right to tell anybody what to do. We are not the police of the world here. And God never made us the police of the world. We are supposed to live peaceably right here in our own country. We're not supposed to be trying to bring democracy all over the world, and which is nothing more than communism in disguise. China's already got their communist regime. North Korea's already got their communist regime, and so doesn't Russia. They're already communist nations. These are communist countries, people. So Donald Trump is playing with fire here, people. And he's doing it because of his own debt. That's why he's doing it. That's a lot of money to be in debt. A lot of money. And I guess Donald Trump is tired of being part owner of buildings in the United States that he once was full ownership of. Now China has ownership, probably more ownership than he has. You may not know this, but Donald Trump has sold several of his buildings in New York and around he sold a lot of his buildings, but he made deals and contracts where he could keep his names on the buildings. Do you know why he doesn't care about owning that building? He just wants his name on it? Because for Donald Trump, it's all about his name. It's not about, it's probably not even about money as much as it's about his name, right? The Bible talks about those that make a name for themselves. Donald Trump is all about his name. He likes to see his name. It's about his ego. And as far as, changing the name of his company to the millennial thing there, saying he's doing it for the millennials. I forgot the name of the new company, but named it after a car company that actually flopped. I don't know why you would do that. That sounds pretty like a poor decision. But anyway, Omni something, I can't remember what it was now, the new name of their company. He said they changed the name for the millennials, for the new millennial, for his children and for the new generation, the millennial generation. But that's not why he's changing his name, people. Why he's changing the name of his company. Anytime you see a change in the name of a company, it's because they know that name is no longer good for business. That's why he's changing his name for his company. If he can't keep his own name on his company, on his business, then his name doesn't mean a whole lot in Washington, people. It's not good for us in this country. We got a hothead, president right now that is on a personal vendetta. I would certainly like to hear your comments about this, folks, but there's evidence stacking up, and it's hard to dispute that this is definitely personal. Leave your comments. If you haven't subscribe and click that little bell there, and that way you'll be notified for the next broadcast.